Welcome to the Health Over Everything podcast, the number one podcast in health and fitness. I am Steven Z.
And I am SoCal Gula. Today we got a good episode for you. It's episode 20. We are going to talk about a few things. Let's get into it. Number one thing we're going to be talking about today is on the first part is our new segment, What's Going on the Internet? And that we'll just spend a few minutes talking about one thing that we've seen on the internet this week, and we'll go over that. And then the next thing we're going to be talking about on the show after that is our main topic, which is 5 hurdles people have with their health and diet. So then we're going to talk about those 5 things. And then after we talk about that, we're going to talk about the Netflix show. There's a new Netflix show that came out called You Are What You Eat. We'll talk about that for a little bit. It's a little health show, so we'll talk about that. And then we will go to the conclusion and where we'll be done. So that's the outline of today's show. We hope that you enjoy it. And if you do, like and subscribe. But let's get into it. So, our first segment, what is going on the internet? What do you think about that, Stephen? What's going on the internet? Do you see a lot of stuff, right?
There's all kinds of shit on the internet.
Yes, yes,
Got to be
there is.
careful what you choose to listen to out there.
Yes, and this is a fun segment because we get to talk about the internet. Who doesn't love social media, right? That's basically what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And then today we're going to be talking about Daily Loud. There's a post by Daily Loud that came out, which is a study that said studies show that people that stay up late are more likely to die at a younger age. And do you believe that? Do you think that's true?
I mean, from what the study showed, I guess if you're consuming more alcohol and tobacco late at night, you're probably making other bad decisions. And those decisions are, I'm not going to say they're the best or the worst, but definitely not good for you. So keep making those bad choices over and over again, and they lead to a early death.
Yes, and that's what they actually got fact checked on Twitter X because that's what they said. They made it seem like the study just showed if you just stay up late, like 10, 11, 12 o'clock, that you're just going to die earlier because you wake up earlier. And I think
Mm-hmm.
optimally you should go to bed 8, 9 hours before sunrise. I think people are designed and evolved to get up at sunlight because
Mm-hmm.
that's when the blue light comes and stuff. But you know, I don't think it's really going to make you die earlier if you go to bed at 12 o'clock midnight and you wake up at 8 o'clock. That's eight
Yeah.
hours of sleep, right? So I was kind of wondering about the studies because there's a lot of studies that show this and show that, but it did get fact checked and said the reason why it correlated was with is because people stay up late usually tend to drink and smoke. That's what you're doing. You're out there drinking and smoking, and you stay up a little bit later, and that's why you end up dying earlier. So it's not. I don't really think it even ended up being that you actually just stayed up late because you could still
Yeah.
stay up late and get in the correct amount of hours. So I don't know
And
if it even
they're probably
matters.
eating like shit too.
Yeah, and you think if they're playing video games all night, they could be a little bit more stressed out as well. I don't know, but it did get fact checked, and I'm just looking at the post right now. It says Daily Loud are likely referring to Finnish, which is the Finland study research paper published in June of 2023 by Chronobiological International that increased risk of death of night owls was conclusively caused by their larger alcohol and tobacco consumption than morning people, not by staying up late. So it's just another thing about a attention grabbing headline. It had
Mm-hmm.
somebody sitting there like looking at. Let me see what it actually says. It has somebody looking at playing a video game with his video controller on his head, saying, "Oh man!" and it says "Game Over" on the screen because you're dead.
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
But I'd seen the article earlier. I don't know where the article's at now, but um,
See, that's just proof you can't believe everything that you see.
yeah, and you got to actually read the article instead of just because people will see the headline and be like, "Oh, look at going to their friend and be like, look at you stay up late, you're gonna die early. I go to bed, haha. Now I'm gonna
Yeah.
live so much longer than you, ha ha ha." It's like, well, did you even look at the article? Send it over. What is the research? And yeah, so that was the thing. I'm just looking at over at this thing. Address, blah blah blah. Yeah, so yeah, it's just clearly just saying that people just stay up late, usually drink. Yeah, and if you're drinking, obviously you're gonna stay up late, right? You're out there partying at a bar or something like that. So drinking and smoking is bad, guys. Not staying up late. Just get your 8 hours in.
See, I would like to know too about the study is how the diets were as well.
Oh yeah, it
Were
also
they
did
were they
say,
dying just from the drinking and the smoking, or did they also eat like shit at the end of the night? Go to Jack in the Box or whatever and just pig out.
yeah, it does say the results revealed that 7,591 of the twins identified as and to some extent and 2,263 as definite evening types, while for morning types the number were 6,354. And so yeah, night owls, it says, drank and smoked more compared to the morning persons, and definite evening types were also less likely to report 8 hours of sleep. The law says over 8,700 of the 23,000 participants died by 2018. The
Damn.
find Yeah, so the findings suggested that chance of dying from any form was also caused 9% higher among people that stayed up late compared to early birds. But it says, you know what sucks about these programs?
Nothing good that happens after midnight, guys. It's true.
Right? Yeah, so it says they have known for a long time that people that stay up later are heavier drinkers, alcohol users, and also they eat a little bit worse. And then obviously, the stupid, it's one of those articles that just keep bouncing around because you got all the different advertisements.
Yeah.
But it did say something in there about food. I can't find it now, but yeah. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. So
Little clickbaity to get you to
yeah,
reel you in.
that's what's happening on the internet. So that's one thing that they were on X. I was on X, and yeah, so that was obviously just clickbait thing. So don't worry
Mhm.
about it if you're staying up late. Just get your 8 hours, and also just don't drink and smoke. Live that health over everything lifestyle, and you should be
Yeah.
good,
That's what
right?
we're just trying to save your life over here. It's so
Yeah.
simple.
So anyhow, so that's it with that segment. Let's get into the main segment today is 5 hurdles people have with their health and their diet. So
Mhm.
number one, which you came up with this one, was all or nothing type thinking. What does that entail, Stephen?
Yes, I am very much this type of a person, so I could relate to it, but it's pretty much having that all or nothing attitude. Like if I can't eat all my meals 100% nutritious, perfect, hit all the right macros, then I might as well not even do one if I can't do them all. So I think that is a big hurdle. Especially for me, it's like I know if I miss a workout, then the second workout is just that much easier to skip, and it's kind of has to do with that all or nothing kind of an attitude. So I think if we could learn that, we're gonna have mistakes, we might have some slip ups, especially in the beginning. And if we could learn to not beat ourselves up so much when we do those, then you can stay on, your little fitness health grind for a longer period of time before you go, beating yourself up about it. And then you feel bad. And then you start wondering, why am I even doing this? I can't do it. It's too hard. And then you end up stopping. So for me, and I think a lot of other people could relate to that all or nothing attitude, kind of being a detriment to your health journey, if you let it.
Mhm. Yeah, so basically, if you like don't do it all, like there's no reason for me to stop the energy drinks because I'm still not doing the exercising. So might as well just keep to continuing to do the energy drinks and all
Yeah.
the other bad stuff as well, pretty
Yeah,
much.
exactly.
So it's like, yeah, even if you want to take one little thing out of your diet, that's going to make you a little bit healthier. If you're just going to keep eating how you are and you're going to go to the gym, that's going to make you a little bit healthier. So you could be like everyone says, you eat a candy bar, it's 400 calories, but if you go to the gym and run, you're only losing 100 calories. So what's the use? Well, still now you just
Yeah.
got 300 calories total instead of 400. So still go to the gym, you don't have to,
Yeah.
and then try to get better over time, but you don't have to just completely just do nothing. Is that kind of like the main point of that, right?
Yeah. That a little bit, it's like that book Atomic Habits, getting 1% better every day. Well, you'll end up being 37 times better by the end of the year. So focus on those little small wins over time, and that's going to add up. It's going to build your consistency, and you're just going to get your results from there, being
Is that what
consistent.
that book Habits is about? Is about getting 1% better every day?
Yeah, that's kind of like the premise of it to get 1% better. It's like you don't have to start your fitness regimen doing 50 push-ups every morning. He's like, if all you could do is one, wake up and you do your one.
Oh, okay.
And eventually, you get 1% better at some point, and then you just kind of keep on continuing.
Huh. I never read
But
that book,
yeah,
but that would be good for the all or nothing type thinking then.
yeah, it's a really good book, actually. If you have problems trying to change aspects of yourself and kind of goes into the difficulties of change. So if you're struggling in that area of your life, I would definitely recommend that book. It's a really good one. Not that long of a read either. Pretty easy.
Yeah. Huh. Awesome. So all or nothing type thinking, is there anything else you'd like to add on that one? That's a main hurdle, one of the main hurdles that people have with health and diet, which I believe that is correct.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something that you're basically going to have to practice and figure yourself out and learn where you need to push yourself and kind of also learn the areas you need to let up on a little bit that, because I've done it myself where I just beat myself up so much that, you get so discouraged that you don't want to keep going. You're like, I suck, I'll never do this. I'm a failure. And that kind of thinking doesn't really help you in this situation. So you
Oh,
gotta, yeah, I guess you kind of have to learn yourself and figure out what you need to do exactly as far as being in this all or nothing type of an attitude group. Yeah. I imagine too, not everybody's in that group, but there's probably a lot of people that are.
yeah. Yeah, so I'm thinking like in my head, like, okay, I need to, if I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get my life together, especially since it's the beginning of the new year, everyone has the resolutions going. Like, I need
Mhm.
to start eating healthy. I need to start exercising. I need to start sleeping better. I need to start getting my stress down low. I need to start doing all these things. And once I start doing them all, it can be overwhelming. So I'm like, I need to do them
Mhm.
all. And then it
Yeah.
becomes overwhelming. I'm like, well, I'm not doing the sleeping good, or I'm not doing one part of it well. So I just end up letting it all go. So it's like, oh, whatever. I'm just gonna not do nothing then. Just give up kind of thing.
Yeah,
Don't do
exactly.
that, guys. Don't give up.
A little bit better every day. Better
And
than
just
nothing.
yeah, exactly. And then so that's one of the hurdles that people have on their health and diet, especially on the diet too, because it's like fuck, it's like you gotta like I want to eat really well. So then you eat one bad fast food, or one day you eat bad the whole entire day, and you're just like, oh, it's over. No, you
Yeah.
could go 6 days. Go 6 days and work on that. Like in the seventh day, you might have a cheat meal, and then get back on it.
Yeah. That's another thing I feel like kind of helps people is having that cheat meal where it's something that's going to kind of be out of your nutritional diet, but that you're going to have. So you can have that one and then get back on track. It's not like, oh, I woke up and I didn't have a good breakfast. And now I don't have to have a good lunch. I don't have to have a good dinner. The other way, you have one meal that you're planning on having that may be a little bit bad. So I think that'll help keep your sanity longer. You're planning for it. It's not a
Yeah.
hiccup. And
And I
that's going to
struggle with
help
that
you.
too. I don't know. It has to be something psychological or something, because if I eat something bad in the morning, I kind of feel like sometimes it's not like, oh man, I ate something bad in the morning, so I just ruined it. Like I'm just gonna, but it's something like in my brain, like, okay, well, it must be like a taste, like, oh man, that tasted good. I kind of ate like a chocolate. Now I kind of want like a piece of chicken, fried chicken or something, or I don't know, like something else. And
Yeah.
then like lunch comes and it's like, because you start thinking about other good food, and you're just like, let me just go and indulge in that as well. And then next thing you know, I ate lunch, and then it's like, and then I'll eat like Baker's or some fast food, and then I'll be like, you know what? I already ate fast food earlier, and I had a burrito, but now I want to kind of like, I wish I would have got the hamburger there too. Well, let me just go get that as well. So
Yeah.
then, boom, now I'm eating 3 meals, and it's like, then it could seep over until the next day as well. So it's
Yep.
kind of
It's a
crazy how
slippery
that
slope.
happens. Yeah. So it's like sometimes it's like all or nothing on the bad side too. Like if I'm gonna do
Yeah.
the bad one, I'm just gonna do them all.
Instead of being a little bit bad, I'm just going all in.
Yeah. So it could
Getting
be
the
like
cake,
it
I'm
could
getting the
actually work that way as
pie,
well. It's
getting the
crazy.
fast food, I'm getting the soda with my meal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna give me a quesadilla, even though I'm eating nice whole plant-based food and like eating all well. And I'm like, oh, let
Yeah.
me go to fast food and get a quesadilla. And you're like, well, I'm here, might as well just get it all. Let me get a milkshake, a fry, and a soda as well. And then there you go. All or nothing type
Yeah.
thinking. That is so true.
That's how I am. So
It's
I
so
imagine there's
true.
other people out there
Oh
do the
yeah,
same
definitely. That
damn
has to
stupid
be.
shit.
So that is definitely a hurdle for me as well. All right. So second one is the resistance to change. That is another one
Yeah.
that
I,
people have as a hurdle. What do you think about that one? What do you have? What are your thoughts on resistance to change?
Shit, I was gonna say that's probably another problem that every single person has, even if it's not in, your health and your fitness. You have that somewhere in your life where, there's something you could do to better your situation, but the whole process of changing kind of holds you back, getting into that uncomfortable state of doing something new and learning and starting off kind of being less, knowledgeable in that area just makes you feel inferior to a certain degree. You feel like you're not adequate. You don't really have confidence in that area yet. Yeah, and there's just a lot of things like that that when you're trying to do something new, it just kind of sucks because you're not an expert in the beginning. There's a lot of things you do not know, and that could be a hindrance of even starting your journey to begin with because you don't want to learn and get uncomfortable and do all these things that are necessary to achieve your goal.
Yeah, and I also think too, like resistance to change, like humans just have a uncanny ability or like just nature, I guess, in us to become comfortable in what we are doing. So it's like
Hmm.
whatever works, we go with because it's like, okay, this is working. I'm surviving. I'm living. I feel all right. It's so that's what I'm going to continue to keep doing. So if you change, it might hinder that um that whatever your lifestyle that you already had, that comfortability and or that just that normal progress and flow of your life. So there's a
Hmm.
real resistance to changing because you get comfortable and then your bodies get used to it. So your body's like, if you're starting to go to the gym, your body's not used to that. So it's like, oh, I don't want that. I would rather wake up Sunday morning, wake up Saturday morning, and watch TV for a while. It's nice and cool in the morning. It's cold. Let's watch some Netflix till 10 o'clock. Don't wake up early and go to the gym. Like what we're not doing that. So it's like not
Yeah.
just your mind, like your mind, your body, and your habits and everything is resisting this change because comfortability is what you want to do. And like even through evolution, your body wants to like kind of rest and chill and not do hard things because it's preserving like your calories and stuff like that for survival. So it doesn't want to go and expend all this energy going to the gym, running 3 miles, 2 miles, or doing heavy resistance training because
Hmm.
that's hard work and it's going to take energy and stuff. So it's like you kind of like go to a baseline of comfortability of just being kind of like lazy or just chilling because your body doesn't wants to preserve like your energy, and also it's hard to do so that your mind is resisting it as well. Like hey, it's kind of hard. It's hard to wake up, get ready, put those gym clothes on, come home from work, put some gym clothes on after a long day of work, and go to the gym and do stuff like that because you just get comfortable and like your body is so in routine of just normal day, like how you routinely do it. So that's
Hmm.
one reason why I think a lot of people have the resistance to change as well.
Yeah, I think the mental aspect of it too is probably the harder part. Like it's easy to, do the workouts and get all that stuff in. Relatively, it should be a little bit of struggle, but it's the, waking up early, putting on the clothes and getting out of your warm bed and basically saying no to all the excuses that you could say yes to. It's like, those are going to be more numerous than, just doing the damn thing in the gym.
And another thing too, I think a resistance to change too is also like through your like just like your lifestyle and how you were bringing up. Like, okay, like if your family didn't wasn't very healthy, like there's
Hmm.
this quote I hear that it's not like disease runs in the family, your diet and your habits kind of run in the family. Like whatever your family kind of did, you grew up on. Like
Yeah.
you kind of do what you were raised to do. So it's a whole system and belief that your whole life you've been told to. Like maybe even your parents and your family told, hey, we're a fat family. We don't go exercise. So you're in your
Yeah.
head being taught as a kid, like, hey, we're a fat family, or like, hey, we're a family that chills, or we're a family that has fun and enjoys life. We don't go and exercise. That's just not who this family is. So it could
Yeah.
be resistance of changing of your whole identity as well. Like your identity is like, oh, I have a dad bod. I'm a dad. I don't I don't go to the gym and get a six pack like, and I don't eat healthy. That's just not what we do. We eat food. We're foodies, and it's your whole identity. So it's a real resistance to change because that's your identity. And once your identity is set in stone, it's very, very hard to break that for somebody.
Yep, definitely. I would argue too that I don't think we're ever all necessarily set in stone. We probably
Yeah.
feel like that, and there might be a greater amount of effort to change, but I think as long as you have the motivator behind it, whether that's like I feel like sadly for most people it's like some sort of medical issue, you get a diagnosis.
Yep.
If you don't make these lifestyle changes now, in 6 months to a year, you're gonna be dead. So
Yeah, I was
for a
gonna
lot
say
of
that.
people, those are the motivators. But if you could find something that motivates you before that, I always say too, like use your motivation to get started, but it's going to be your discipline that keeps you going. Sooner or later, your motivation will run out. So figure out something that you love doing, and then I think you could kind of figure out ways to discipline yourself. And that to me is just basically doing all the shit that sucks that you need to do. Like
Yeah.
washing the dishes. We don't always want to wash the dishes, but we know it has to be done. So we do them just to get them out of the way and to make our lives easier in the long run. It's kind of the same with fitness. Do it now, it sucks now, but then you're going to be able to enjoy more of your life later by being more
Yeah.
healthy, being more active, being able to move and all that stuff.
Yep. Yeah, and the resistance to change with the identity, what I mean is like, yeah, sometimes like you're just so like you're pre-programmed with your not only your habits but your lifestyle and like what you've been doing and your friends and your environment and your family and all that stuff that you are kind of like subliminally resistant to change because of your identity. But once, like you say,
Mm-hmm.
like a health problem does come up and you go to the doctor, you start feeling funny. Like why? Like I even seen on the show that we're going to talk about, Netflix, You Are What You Eat. One of the guys said, like, oh, I woke up one day and I looked at my alarm clock and it was all blurry. And I was like, what the hell? And I went to the doctor. Well, I had type 2 diabetes.
All
Well, once you
right.
start feeling stuff like that, it's like you might have been resistant to change because your identity and your family and your friends and your environment. But now your body is telling you, hey, we are changing. Like you, like
Yeah.
now it's like you might be resistant to change, but your body's changing. It's saying, hey, now you can't see. Now you have a tingling in your fingers. You have a tingling in your toes. You're gonna have to
Mm-hmm.
get them amputated pretty soon because you have diabetes because you
Yep.
ate wrong. So it's like, yeah, my identity is, oh, I'm a foodie. Like I'm a dad bod. I'm just we're a fat family or something like that. Yes, that may be your identity, but then type 2 diabetes comes and now that's your new identity. I'm a type 2 diabetic. I'm going to get my toes cut off. I'm going to get my leg cut off. I have high blood pressure. I'm going to have a heart attack and put a stent in my heart. And that's your new identity. So it's like if you think about the resistance to change, like I don't want to change because this is who I am. Well, then you got to think about, hey, your body and life will eventually catch up to you and it will change you. So do you want to think about that so you can change and overcome that resistance to change?
Yeah, I like that. I think that would be useful if a lot of people could implement that into their lives. Change before it gets bad enough and to where you actually have to change, We
Yeah,
could
because
all avoid those things.
like they say, like there's one constant in life, and that is change. Like even
Mm-hmm.
though you have resistance to go to the gym and change your lifestyle and start being a healthier lifestyle, being more active, if you're resistant to start changing your nutrition and eating better, well, you're always changing. You're every day you're changing a little bit. Your body's continuous change. Eventually, you're gonna change into something else. You're going to change into an obese person. You're going to change into medical problems, or you're going to change into the healthy stuff. You're going to change. You're still going to be getting older, but you're going to be getting more healthier and living
Mm-hmm.
not it's about your lifespan, it's about your health span as well.
Yeah, I was thinking you could either change for the positive in your life, or you could change and more towards the negative aspect in your life. So we're all changing to some degree, whether it's good or bad. I think most of it is entirely up to us with our
Yeah.
decisions that we make.
Yeah, and then that was the next one. Let me see. I'm just looking at your text here. What we're talking about lack of consistency. That's what you said right here. I'm trying to figure out all or nothing. I think resistance. Oh yeah, lack of consistency.
Yeah, consistency and discipline. I think those two
Yeah,
kind of go hand in hand together.
Yeah, I put lack of consistency and change. But yeah, lack of consistency and discipline. So that is the number three hurdle people have with their health and diet, the lack of consistency and discipline. And like you were alluding to earlier, motivation could get you started, but discipline is what brings you over the rainbow bridge that gets you on the other side of all your
Yeah.
health goals, discipline. And that's what people have, a lack of consistency and discipline. And even though we said that the all or nothing type thinking kind of thing, like you might be able to have one cheat meal per day or
Hmm.
one per month or something, that could be fine if you work it in there. But lack of consistency and discipline, meaning like you should be, if you're trying to get change into your health and your diet, should be disciplined. You should be consistent majority of the time. Like 90% of the time. Like you could do the math and whatever metrics you want. But if you're not
Hmm.
gonna be eating pretty much well every day, you're not gonna get to that healthy body weight, especially once you get older and your metabolism starts slowing down,
Yep.
like and your hormones start changing and stuff like that. So, consistency is key because I alone did it, like, doing it for months, eating well, then Christmas comes along, boom, you do it for 1 week, and now I started feeling like shit. My resting heart rate
Yeah.
went up, my weight went up, all in 1 week, just 7 days, So it's like, yeah, you could have that one day, maybe a month. But once you get into a little loop of like a week or so, all gains start getting lost. And I'm pretty sure you've been there before too. When you don't go to
Yep.
a gym for a week or two, you feel like a little bit weaker when you go the next time. So your muscles start going down a little bit. So that is
Yep.
a definitely hurdle. What do you have to put on that one? Lack of consistency and discipline.
Yeah, I was gonna add too. I think especially in today's time, we just feel like everything is like a quick fix, easy, click now, get it in, an hour or whatever. And I think that probably plays as a little bit of a part in there too, where you go into the gym. I don't care if you work out for 8 hours, like chances are you're not coming out with a six pack. That's just not how it works. It's one of those delayed gratifications where you put in the work every day for 90 days or something like that, and then at the end of your 90 days, like, oh, now you could start seeing the progress, start seeing the results, but you can't see that initially. And I think that does like a mind job to certain people, like, oh, I'm doing all this work, I'm eating better, I'm busting my ass in the gym, and I've done it for a week and nothing's changing yet. And that could be discouraging. So I feel like that probably plays a big part in the weight loss and the healthy lifestyle journey, is running into that kind of a hurdle where you feel like you're spending all this time and effort doing something and you cannot see the results yet. So keep
Yeah,
on keeping on. Yeah, I feel like it takes at least like 90 days. You could probably start seeing some results in like a month, but
yeah,
for me, within like 3 months, you'll be able to see some like noticeable progress. But you got to keep at it. Being consistent with it within those 90 days is gonna, get you a better result than if you're half-assing it, not counting your calories, not paying attention to what you're eating, skipping days at the gym, like all that, all those bad decisions add up as well.
yeah. And then like you could also get motivation as well, like you said, it's temporary. That's not discipline, but you could like
Mhm.
look in the mirror, see your fat self, and be like, hey, I'm like, I need to change. Like, let me go on YouTube and look at a video. And then you get these videos saying, yes, you can do it. You are the greatest. All you got to do is get in the gym and you will do it. And it'll have the great music in the background pumping you up. And you'll watch
Mhm.
this video and you'll be like, oh man, that's so great. I'm so pumped up. I'm going to the gym. And then you go to the gym that day and you get on and you go into the gym and you start sweating and you're all nice and feeling great because you went to the gym, your endorphins are up. You come home and you eat a nice healthy salad and some fruits and vegetables, and you feel all good. And the next day, that all that motivation's with you, and you might do it again for the next day, do the same thing, and the next day comes the weekend, and you're just like, oh, everyone's going out, and then boom, you went out with them and you had some drinks, you go home and you go to sleep and you sleep all day and now you're like feeling down and you're not doing it anymore. Well,
Mhm.
that's that consistency and discipline. The motivation wore off. So if
Mhm.
you got that consistency and discipline, like, hey, this is going to be my new lifestyle. This is who I'm going to be. I'm going to be this healthy person. I'm going to continue to do this. I'm not going out. I'm going to say no to almost everything. I'm going to say no to going out and having drinks and going to the restaurants and stuff like that. I'm going to cook at home on Saturday while everybody else is out at the dinner eating all this high salt and sugar foods, and then you're continuously do that. Like, okay, I'm doing that next week and week after, and you see yourself starting getting skinnier, and you're getting seeing yourself changing because of the discipline and the consistency. And then you go online and you see everyone else on social media, and you see them eating, but you also see something else about them. And they're not just eating and having fun. Their face is starting to look fatter. They're starting to plump up a little bit. They're starting to get a little
Mhm.
older looking while you're being more youthful, and that's what comes along with the discipline and the consistency. But that's a big hurdle people have to get over, is all the people, the society and their friends, and feeling lonely and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
those are the things you have to like kind of deal with in order to have this discipline and the consistency in order to get your goals of being super healthy.
Yep, exactly. Well said, my friend.
Alrighty, so you want to move on to the next one?
Let's do it.
Misinformation is number 4. So that is one of the hurdles people have, and I think that one's a big one too. Misinformation, because it confuses people, really. Like if you're saying like it's just like one thing we're talking about our last episode was fiber, and then you got the
Mm.
carnivore diet. So then that confuses people just alone. Like, okay, what do I eat? Do I eat meat? Should I just go on a meat-based only diet? Or should I just eat vegetables and become a vegan or a vegetarian and eat all the, like which one's better? And you start looking at one side and wow, like if I went and looked at the book How Not to Die. It tells you about basically all about plant foods, and that sounds excellent. That sounds amazing. And then you go to, and they're saying, but all the meats are really bad. So it's like, oh man, so if I go eat meats, I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna be healthy. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
eat this plant-based diet, but then it's lacking nutrients and stuff like that. Maybe I don't know what is it doing. And then you go to the carnivore people, and they're like, hey, what's going on over here? Like all you need is to eat an animal from nose to tail, eat its liver, eat its heart, eat its the grass-fed beef on it. Like don't eat any vegetables because they have compounds in it that hurt your stomach that you don't need, that's not necessary. You don't need fiber. And then I get confused. And it's like, well, okay, what
Yeah.
do I do? Like, like I'm so confused right now. How do I be healthy? And they don't know how to be healthy, so they just go back to their baseline of like, you know what? I'm just going to go to Subway.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge hurdle, the misinformation or just like who do you believe really? Because you got advocates for each side, and you don't know who to believe, kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's funny too, because I think I recently came across two separate studies, and basically one of them was how vegan diet's the best, and then the other one was a podcast, and the doctor was talking about going carnivore and that
Yeah,
being the best for him. He was actually saying, there's a lot of different people, a lot of different body types out there.
yeah.
So what works well for one person isn't necessarily gonna work good for everybody. You can't just sugarcoat everything and put a blanket across everything. But yeah, if you were to listen to either one of those studies individually, you're going to come out either thinking I should eat only meat, or if you're on the opposite side, you're thinking, oh, well, no, I need to cut out all the meats and only vegetables and fruits. You probably get good results with either one of them.
Yeah.
I'm all thinking
Yeah.
about it,
You probably
but
can.
yeah, but you're probably not going to find what's optimal unless you give them both a try.
Yeah, but just the misinformation in general is what I think is just like really is a hindrance to people and their health and diet and a big hurdle to them. And it's not just the food and diet. It's also like I see things about exercising. People say like, "Oh, well, running hurts your knees." Well, does it
Mm-hmm.
hurt your knees or does it make them stronger over time? Like, do you just need to maybe it's like, okay, running might hurt your knees, but you need to do workouts on your legs as well, get those muscles, those calf muscles, those hamstring muscles built up, and that will
Mm-hmm.
support the knees. Is it because you have a lack of strength training on your like so they don't know like or they'll be like, oh well, too much cardio can be bad for your heart, so that's why I don't do it. So it's like then they don't do cardio because okay, well you could still run 1 mile a day for 3 days a week or something. That would
Mm-hmm.
definitely help. You could go run around with your kid, play basketball or something. Play some baseball or something. That will get you some exercise. I don't think exercise is bad for you. I don't think so there's a lot of misinformation that's a real hurdle to people because they'll hear things, especially on social media, which we will bring up some more on our segment there. But it's just so
Mm-hmm.
much information that it's just misinformation, and it's just like, well, we all know what's really good for us. Eat well, eat plant whole foods that are good for you, and
Mm-hmm.
exercise. Like that's the very simple part of it. But then everyone's just throwing you all this misinformation in all different directions, and then you got other people telling you like, oh, a banana is bad for you. A banana is bad for me. Why is a banana
Too
bad
much
for
sugar.
why you're sitting there drinking a Diet Coke? Like why is a banana bad for me and a Diet Coke isn't? Well, Diet Coke is a diet. It says diet in the name. So it's just like there's so much misinformation. It's like it's a real hurdle for people, and I think that's a huge one. That really,
Yeah, that does make sense too. A lot of different information out there. So you got to kind of, it's funny too. You can't really, the more you dig into, I just feel like you're going to find more information with whatever topic that, you're trying to be for, whether it's carnivore, whether it's vegan. Um, I think a lot of
yeah,
the things too, you got to realize too, is who is funding those studies. A lot of the
yes,
times, it's big pharma or it's someone who has money invested
yep,
in how the study comes out. So if it's someone anti-meat and they're funding a study, they don't want the study to prove that meat is actually good for you. So they'll
yes,
probably edit those and not include that kind of information within the study.
yep.
So I think that's contributes to why there is so much information and conflicting information
Yeah.
out there.
And then you got the social media as well. Like what is their real intentions by posting? New York Post posted a post not too long ago about how exercise could be cutting years off of your life. So it's like,
Oh
what is
yeah.
their intentions? Are their intentions to like, like there's a lot of people saying that, oh, well, people that exercise and get swole or whatever are right wingers, they're terrorists, they're alpha males, and then there's a whole thing of people saying that people are trying to tear down the people working out because they want us to be fat and lazy so they could easily take us over and or easy make them rich by consuming all their unhealthy products. So
Yeah.
it's like, what is their aim? Is their aim to like society like trying to take down a certain demographic or a certain political aspect of a population, or are they just trying to troll? They're trying to get views, so it's like, hey, let's just make this thing so I know if I say people are going to die earlier by exercising, then I could get a million views and I could get paid, like, and get more views, so it's like there's a lot of incentives as well to like
Mhm.
to say things that aren't true or give misinformation, which really fucks up people that are really trying to actually change their life and get over these hurdles with their diets and their fitness.
Yep, that some of that stuff is clickbaity too. I
Very.
remember seeing a guy, he would give fitness information, but within it, there would always be something that's like false, whether,
Yeah.
I forget, he even did something stupid where like, oh, to figure out how many calories you need, divide like your height by like your hip ratio and times it by your shoe size. It was something stupid where you're like that doesn't make any
Shoe
sense.
size.
But
Yeah.
he would purposely put in those things. So people in the comments would be like, no, 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 there's no way that that's accurate. And then, you get engagement, you get people feeding the algorithm, and it
Yeah.
just helps your video blow up by putting in something that he knows wasn't a fact just to
Yep.
get the people talking.
Yeah. So yeah, misinformation is definitely a huge hurdle. But you hear it here, you heard it here on Health Over Everything podcast. Just eat well. Like find experiment and find what's good for you. Like everybody's different. Like eat some meat. If it upset your stomach, you'll eat some vegetables and see how that makes you feel. Like just test out everything, but just limit salt, limit sugar, like bad salts. Our body needs salts, but don't eat too much of the bad salt. Don't eat too much sugar. Eat whole foods, whatever it is. If it's meats or if it's plants, don't eat the processed stuff. Just and then go
Yeah.
exercise. Like it's just very simple. Like eat well, eat whole foods that are simple ingredients, not filled with chemicals, and exercise. Like do some cardio, do some strength training. You don't have to do too much. You're not going to get too bulky. You're not going to hurt your heart by working out too much. And that's pretty much all you need to do. You don't, there's a lot of misinformation out there. You can get into the rabbit hole and learn more. But if you just want the basics, just start. Just go to the gym, start working out, and start eating better.
Yeah, cut out the processed foods. I think that'll be, if you could just do that, you'll probably make some good strides.
That is one of the biggest things. Like that
Yeah,
is to me like probably one of the most important things to do is get
probably
at
be
that
the
processed foods.
one of the hardest ones too. You got
Yeah.
to break those habits.
And the reason why is because it brings up with our number 5 point of the hurdle is lifestyle constraints. And why are people eating all these processed foods? Is because a lot of lifestyle constraints. It's more expensive now than ever. Inflation's super high and all this stuff. Food's high. You have two income families now. No, there used to be the one person going to work and the other person staying at home taking care of the kids. You don't have that anymore. A lot of people are doing two jobs and barely surviving. So they go and eat the
Mhm.
processed foods because they don't have time to sit there or they don't think they have time to make food at home. And
Yeah,
what are they doing? They're eating this processed food. So lifestyle constraints is number 5 of why the biggest hurdles. And our last one, number 5, of why people have biggest hurdles over their health and diet. Well,
yeah. Too. I think your lifestyle probably goes into your comfort to a certain degree, because I think if you're in a certain culture, you've probably been raised to have certain foods in your diet, whether it's more, beans or more fruits.
yeah,
Something in your diet or something in the way you were brought up is probably, attached around food. Whether your family always went to McDonald's Saturday morning, we had a thing where every Saturday was McDonald's breakfast. If that's your thing, maybe, one day a week's not going to kill you, but those kind of things help feed the person that you are today. And when you start trying to go in and changing your diet, it could feel like a lot. because you've had this whole lifestyle of your diet being around a or being a certain way,
Yeah.
and it could just be hard in the beginning. Like I love my sausage and my bacon and my eggs every morning. And if you can't have those things in the beginning, it might be hard to kind of get yourself out of there.
Yeah,
But
that's like
it's
a
possible.
mental, right? That's like a
Yeah.
mental lifestyle constraint.
Yeah, I feel like most of them are probably mental. I think
Yeah.
I always feel like that. Like 90% of the battles you fight are mainly mental.
Yeah.
There's some physicality to it, but
Yeah,
it's a
no
small
doubt.
percentage in my opinion.
Yeah, so like what about like okay, if you're working 10 hours a day, what is that mental? Is that a mental constraint or is that just like a what kind of
That could be a
constraint?
little bit of both because I could figure that being like a good excuse of why you shouldn't work out and, go to the gym today. Like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I don't feel like I'm 100%. But then, there's going to be another guy that says, even though I'm tired, felt like shit, I haven't eaten all day, I know I need to go to the gym because it's going to benefit me and I'm going to feel better after. And that second guy is going to go to the gym and keep doing the damn thing no matter what. And I guarantee you, number two is going to see results a lot faster than number one because he's actually just cutting out the bullshit excuses
Yeah.
and putting in the work and developing the consistency and the discipline to get, the results that he's going after.
That got me thinking too, like a little bit, because somebody might work 10 hours and say, like, I
Mm-hmm.
was so stressed out at work today, and then go home and like I need to relax, which might be true, but you could still get your 8 hours in and still go to the gym. You still have time for that.
Yeah.
But the next person might go 10 hours of work and think like, or somebody might think like, oh, if I go to 10 hours of work and I'm stressed out and then I go to the gym after, that's just gonna make me more stressed because now I'm doing more stress on my body. But technically, like I think like it kind of might relieve some stress. You're getting some
Yeah.
of that stress out of work out. And that's another person might think that, like, oh, I'm 10 hours at work today and I'm stressed out. I go to the gym and actually relieve some stress.
Yeah.
It's like stress is one thing, and you might go to the gym is might be relieving it, but then going home and getting the proper amount of rest, like stress and exhaustion are two different things. You don't want to be too exhausted, and your body will tell you if you're too exhausted, you might need some rest, and you might not need to go to the gym that day. You might need to go sleep more and get some
Mm-hmm.
rest. But I think just two different mental aspects of that as well on that lifestyle constraint of just like your time.
Yeah. Because we all live busy lives, and I'm sure we all feel like I don't have time to get to the gym at the end of
Yeah.
of the day. And one way to stop that is if you don't like going after work, go before you work out. Of
Get a
course,
home
that
gym.
means, getting to bed early and waking up earlier. But where there is a will, there's a way. If you want to be an excuse maker, you're always going to find excuses.
And
And
you work out at home.
yeah.
So that's
And
that's
I
right there. You just do it at your house.
I'm actually I'll be starting a new job this tomorrow, actually.
Oh, nice.
So I'm already thinking like, do I want to work out when I get home, or am I gonna have to start waking up, an hour extra before I need to work out in the morning? So I have time after work to do all the shit I need to do. So I
Yeah.
might play with it the first few days. Maybe I might, wake up early tomorrow, 3:34, and work out before I even go. So I could get it. Like that
Early.
is one aspect of working out in the morning that I do like is that it's like you done your hard shit first thing in the morning. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to worry about any excuses of why you're not going to do it or why you're tired. If you could do it first thing, the hardest thing you have to do first thing in the morning, that just makes the rest of your day a lot easier.
And when waking up that early is like to me a lifestyle constraint. Even though we're talking about health and diet, like I think sleep is very important part of the overall health. I always
Yeah,
talk about that.
definitely.
So then somebody might wake up at 3:30, then get the hard thing out of the way, get the gym, boom, you did that first thing, maybe even
Mhm.
4:30, let's say. And then you go to work all day, you do your hours of work, and then you come home and you might have kids and your wife and a family. So now you got to deal with that. And then, you got to make love too, right? And then after that,
Yeah.
now you're going to bed too late. So it's like, you also got to make sure you're saving some time, like, because then if you're only getting 4 hours of sleep and now you're exhausted, so that's not healthy. So what do you need to like? You might need to figure out something that you need to limit. You might not go to the gym the next morning because you need to get that extra, 2 hours and to get 6 hours or 7 hours of sleep instead of the 4 hours. Or you might need to like limit the time with your family a little bit because you got to go to work, or like I say, like if you're going to work and then you're coming home and going to the gym and you're traveling there and traveling back, that might be a half an hour. Maybe you
Hmm.
need to set up your lifestyle more where you're just coming home and doing the gym at work. That will save that half an hour that you could eventually get on your sleep instead of like, so sleep, you got your family and your lifestyle and all this other stuff, you got to fit into one day. So you got to
Yeah.
figure it out where you can do it all, where you don't have the lifetime constraints. But a lot of people will use these like excuses like, well, I got my family, I got to make love, I got to hang out with my kids and I got to cook dinner and stuff or whatever when I get home. I don't have time for the gym, or maybe I don't even have time to cook dinner. So you got to think of different ways of to do that. Like, okay, I know a lot of people that go to work, like they might be single parents or they might just be both parents working together and they're both at work. And then so they go home and they all eat separately. They'll DoorDash food to their kids, and then both parents will go and eat fast food on the ride home or something like that, or eat at work, and they don't eat together or anything like that. But instead of like, hey, um, maybe you could DoorDash groceries to your house or Instacart, and then have your
Mhm.
teach your kids how to um, cook. I had to cook when I was younger. Like there's
Yeah.
ways around everything. Like you're just gonna have your kids sit there and play video games all day, and then while you're working a long day and come home, and then now everyone just ate fast food for the day and eating a bad diet. Teach your kids how to cook a little bit. They're not incapable of doing anything. And then boom, there you go. Teach them how to cook, and now that when you get home, you have food ready that's nice and healthy for you, you know, at the house. So there's different ways you got to think about battling these lifestyle constraints instead of just giving up and making, you got to get over the hurdle and, plan and learn and teach and figure it out because there's a will, there's a way, like you said.
Yeah. And for me personally, I feel like the things that I've had to like cut out of my life to make time for, the more healthy choices
Hmm.
are a lot of them. I might even argue say 100% of them is just like cutting out just the nonsense stuff that I might enjoy doing at the end of the night. Like, whether it's, oh, I always watch my Netflix show at 9 p.m. when I get into bed before I
Yes.
go to sleep.
I was
But
doing
if
that
you
too.
watch the whole show, you might be in up for an extra hour.
Yep.
And so for me, it was like those little things that you might have to give up. And that's kind of the hard part in it. We're like, I enjoy watching my show and
Yep.
unwinding at the end of the day. But I know if I do, I'm only going to get 5 hours of sleep instead of six. And then I'm going to feel like shit tomorrow. I'm going to be all
Yep.
groggy. So it's those small choices I think you're going to have to make. And you have to make them over and over and over again. And they will benefit you in the long run. But yeah, kind of, I guess that is a theme. It seems like if this show is cutting it out in the beginning is the hard part. Just that initial change and being uncomfortable is going to be the hardest part. Is just the initial steps of doing it. But
Yeah.
once you get going, you build up momentum. It gets easier. With when you're 2 weeks in, you're going to be like 9 o'clock. You just go in the bed and you go to sleep.
Yeah.
You've gotten out of the habit of clicking on the TV, putting on your
Yep.
show, and watching one episode, and
Yeah.
maybe stopped yourself from getting into a second season because I would or a second episode because I've
Yeah.
done that myself where I'm like, all right, just
Yes.
one episode before bed, I'm gonna watch it, and then 5 episodes in, I'm
Mhm.
up later than I should have been, and then I
Yep.
feel like shit the next
Been
morning.
there.
So
Yeah, and it's so cool too because that's a great point. Because I cut out a lot of stuff too. I used to play video games. I don't do that anymore. But like the Netflix show, like I was like, hey, I like winding down. But I'm like, you know what? I need to be if I'm going to be waking up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. I need to be in bed at like 8, 9 o'clock, or let's say
yeah.
9 o'clock. I need to be in bed at 9 o'clock. So I'll do all my stuff through the day. Like let's say you have to spend time with your family or like your wife, or I don't have that, but go to the gym and do all your things. So
Mhm.
like, I'll do it all and then I'll get home and I'll be like, okay, it's 9 o'clock. I'm done with everything. 9 o'clock. I'm like, oh well, I'm not if I want to watch this Netflix show. So I do it and I'll stay up till 10 o'clock. And then there you go. Now I lost that hour of sleep, which is very important. I need my sleep, and that's my overall core value of my health. Well, so now I'm just like, hey, well, it's 9 o'clock. I can't watch it. I just got to go sleep. And you don't need to watch the whole entire season in one day or one week. You could
Mhm.
spread it over time. You'll still be able to watch it. Watch it on a Saturday when you have time instead of on the weekday when you have to go to work.
It's
But
all or
then,
nothing. It's all or
yeah, is
nothing.
that all or nothing? And then like some other days, like you'll do all your stuff and you'll like be done. You're like, oh, I'm done with all my stuff, and it'll be 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and you're like, oh, I got done early today. I could sit down there and watch this for an hour and only watch one episode, and these episodes end on cliffhangers, so it's like, oh,
Yeah.
what's happening on the next episode? So you kind of want to watch it. And sometimes I'll just watch maybe 5 minutes of the episode. So it's like, okay, I got into the next one. Let me just stop it there. Or sometimes I'll just stop episodes like halfway through and just watch, if it's 8:30, I'll have an hour show. I'll just watch half the show and then I'll just turn it off. I'm like, okay, I'll watch the other half tomorrow when I get done at 8:30. So, you don't need, that's a big constraint, but yeah, you gotta, like you said, you gotta get rid of some of the habits and things that you do in order to, you only got 24 hours in a day. So that's a constraint right there. And that's a lifestyle constraint that we got to, fit all our stuff into. So you got to see what's important. Is the Netflix show
Hmm.
important, or is your sleep important? Is your eating, cooking and eating well important, and going and exercising important?
Yeah, it's funny that you say the little cliffhanger for the next episode. I forget what show I was watching, but if I started to watch the um little trailer for the next episode, I
Yeah,
would watch that second episode. So I knew like I had to stop as soon as it was over. I would have to stop it because if I started watching the next one, I'm like, all right, well now I'm fucking reeled into this one. So here we go.
yeah, is that
Yeah, I
totally
wouldn't
true?
stop it 5 minutes in or a half hour. I'm like, no, I'm watching it all the way through. I'm figuring out what's the next episode about. I got a
Yeah,
little fucking 30-second clip, and now I got to watch the whole damn thing.
yep, I fell in that trap so many times. So those are the 5 hurdles that people have with health and diet. We got all or nothing type thinking, resistance to change, lack of consistency and discipline, misinformation, and lifestyle constraints. So that wraps that up right there. Hopefully we helped you a little bit with that, and and helped you try to figure out how you can get over these hurdles. Those are,
Hmm.
we identified the hurdles, but you also try to get over them with some of the tips and tricks that we had in that segment. And we'll switch to the last segment here, which is Netflix show. Since we're talking about Netflix right now, there's a new
Mm.
show out called "You Are What You Eat." Have you seen some of it, right?
Yeah, I probably got about halfway through before I fell asleep.
Yeah. So just to summarize, if you want any spoilers, like we're not going to spoil the whole thing for you. We're not going to do that. So if you still want to watch it, but I don't really recommend it. I'm still going to watch it. Like you could probably watch it because there is some good facts in there and some good
Mm.
things. But it's basically they take twins. There's different sets of twins, two different people that are identical, and they put one on a meat-based diet and they put one on a vegetarian vegan diet. And they try to see where their body levels go, what their blood levels are and their hormone levels and their weight and stuff like that. And that's what they're doing in the show. So you can watch a show, but I didn't really like the show because it seemed to me like it was um, kind of a propaganda show. And it's like,
Okay.
it kind of reminds me of What the Health. It's like a propaganda show totally against meat, which I'm not totally against meat. I like meat. I like grass-fed beef. Um, I like grass-fed steak, like lean meats and stuff like that. It gets my protein. Like I like eggs and pasture-raised eggs and stuff. And they're totally against all that. And they're totally
Okay.
against, like, kind of like they seem like they're totally against all the farming methods. They're saying it's creating global warming and all this stuff. So it's like about the procedures of how the meats were made. And to me, it seems just very biased. And I did see somewhere online that it was like there's a lot of that research was done by Beyond Meat, which is they make fake meat. So that, like we were talking earlier, you're doing research and who's it done by. So obviously it's very anti-meat if it's going to be the study is going to be funded by anti-meat company, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
there are some of those results that might be. I'm only 2.5 episodes in, so I'm only halfway in too, but it just seems very anti-meat and propaganda, like kind of oriented. But so that's what the show's about. It's kind of a weird thing to me to just like be so propaganda like that because I don't think
Yeah.
it's given the true nature of health.
There's probably, a lot of truth in there with a lot of little stretched out lies.
Yeah, because they'll say
I
something
feel
like, "Go ahead."
I was gonna say honestly, I think optimally, like health is gonna be somewhere between those two worlds, somewhere between the vegan and the carnivore diet.
Yeah,
I think that's what's gonna be best is somewhere in the middle. Maybe one person needs a little bit more meat, maybe another individual might need a little bit more veggies, but the healthy optimal state's gonna be somewhere in the middle where you're at least having some meats and some veggies,
yeah.
or a lot of one or the other, somewhere in the middle of that.
One fact I did like from that show that it said that 97% of, pretty sure it said 97, maybe it was 94% of meat is like corn fed. So only like 4%, I think it was, of meat was grass-fed meat, which grass-fed meat is what I like. It's much healthier, but they said it would take like 2.5 times the amount of land to graze on because they get the cows to graze on land instead of just sitting
Yeah.
them all in one spot eating cornmeal. So I really, there are some truths in it because that is true. Like there's a bunch, like you can't have that much land for grass-fed beef but I don't know, like is there much that much land? Maybe there is, and they're talking about they're tearing down the rainforest in order for the cows to live there, and the methane gas that they make is bad for global warming. So they're saying that if you eat meat that you're part of global warming, which I don't even really believe too much in. I think there's a lot of propaganda in that as well, the global
Yeah.
warming. I don't know really how
Agreed.
bad that is, but that's what that show was about. But there is. I haven't watched the rest of it. I haven't seen the results of the twins of what they do. So if you guys could still watch it and see it, we're not spoiling in it for you. But that's what the show is about. And the twins, I haven't seen the results. Like, okay, this guy with eating meat is he's like, oh, you're on a trajectory to die. And the guy that's eating the veggies, like, oh, you're gonna live forever. I don't know. Who knows what they're gonna say? But it just seems very propaganda to me, anti-meat propaganda.
Yeah, it makes sense too if it's funded by Beyond Meat. They don't want the meat the meat to be good for you.
And like you said, it's totally true. Like the truth lies in between both extremes on any
Yeah.
subject you're talking about. There's going to be extremists on both sides, political, sports, anything, any subject you can come up with. And the truth usually lies somewhere in between.
Yeah. I think that's a saying or something. That sounds
Yeah,
familiar.
I think it is a saying. And if it's not, it is now. But I think I heard that one somewhere. Most of the stuff I heard from somewhere. But yeah, so that's probably let's conclude the show there. So hope you guys like the show. But
Yeah, hopefully we had some good information for you and you were able to take at least some part of it home with you.
yeah, so that's the show. Yeah, we hopefully that you do overcome anything you have. This is health over everything. Like we're on Spotify to conclude the show. We're on Spotify. We're trying to get some subscribers. So subscribe and tell your friends. We're also on YouTube. You just search health over everything. You could go to our Instagram page or our Twitter page, health over everything. And you could find the links there, especially on our Instagram page. You could find the links if you just want a quick link to our Spotify. We also have it to our YouTube and to our Apple Podcasts. A lot more people are on Apple Podcasts than on Spotify, but we know a lot of people don't have Apple phones. So if they have a
Yeah.
Google phone, you have to either go on Spotify or you have to go on YouTube. But you can find us on Twitter as well. And just look for Health Over Everything, or you can find us on Instagram. And, like I'm wearing a shirt here, you could go to socalgula.com, SoCal, one word, and then GOULAH.com, and you can buy some health over everything gear there. We got beanies, we got shirts and stuff like that. But other than
Help keep
that,
yourself warm and look good at the same time.
yeah, and support that whole life. You want to be a whole lifer like us, which is, that's what we all are. We're whole lifers, health over everything life.
Yeah. We're gonna rebrand that phrase.
Yes, we're rebranding the word hoe. But the shirts. How do you like your shirt, Steven? Like you have one. It's comfortable, right?
I do like it. I like the material, like the way it fits. Not
Yeah,
just saying that. We did try. I think one of them we did try with a different material, and I even told you, I'm like, yeah, this one's a little thick. I'm not. I don't really like it. And you're
yeah.
like, I thought the same exact thing. So we changed the material on that one. So yeah, that out of all the shirts I have, I like the way they feel. They're light. If
Yeah.
that's what you're going for, lighter fit, tighter
Yeah.
fitting.
Yeah. So go get yourself some gear there, SoCalGulag.com. But the main thing is like we need some subscribers. Our goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So
1,000.
go to YouTube, go to Spotify or Apple or all three and subscribe because that will count as 3 subscribers. We're adding all three together as our subscribers. Right now, we're up to about 50 some subscribers total. So we still got a ways to go. Tell a friend, share this episode with somebody, and yeah, go to our Twitter and get us some impressions, get us some views because the more views we get, the more confidence we have to keep going with this and keep helping you guys out and getting more information, and the more reach we get, the more people we can go and try to get on the show and help out with their
Yeah,
knowledge as
exactly.
well. And if you do want to be on the show and you have some particular health knowledge and you have, hit us up because we love to have you on the show because we're trying to get more people on here as well. And we'll find a time slot that works good for you and all of us together and we could get all that going and we could just, make this shit happen and blow it up and have people start becoming whole lifers as well and becoming
Yeah.
making their life where they put health over everything so they could enjoy their life, enjoy their families, enjoy just life in general, because we believe that health is the best way to live life.
Yeah, it's the only way.
Yep. So with that, I'm out. What about you, Steven? You're done?
Yeah, I think
You're
I'm
out here?
done. You said everything pretty well. Gonna get my day started with the fam.
You're going to the gym today. That's the main thing.
Yeah,
So
get it.
you're eating healthy today. You're going to the gym today. And that's what
Of
I'm doing as
course.
well.
Of course.
All right, guys. See you in the next episode. Peace out.
Thanks for tuning in. Thank you. Appreciate all the listeners. See you on the next episode.
Late.